Well, as early as this fall, you might be able to avoid arrest for possession and even use of psychedelic plants and fungi in Grand Rapids. The group behind the effort says there's a lot more to this than the magic mushrooms that you're probably thinking of. These plants can be powerful medicines, they say, and research groups, universities, even the FDA is taking a closer look at them.
We don't want people who are finding healing with these medicines to be driven underground.
At City Hall, we meet Chad Beyer, Mary Reed Kelly, and Luke Johnson. They're founders and board members of Decriminalized Nature Grand Rapids, a local chapter of a national group to bring attention to the healing, not just the euphoric effects of psychedelic plants for all kinds of ailments.
Such as depression or post-traumatic stress syndrome or end-of-life anxiety and suffering.
In fact, 5 years ago, Chad was diagnosed with spinocerebellar ataxia, a neurological disease with no cure. Turning to entheogenic plants and fungi, Chad says, gave him a new outlook, a sense of oneness, a new kind of therapy with astounding effects.
It's quite amazing. I'm no longer afraid of dying.
But what are entheogenic plants and fungi? Mary says you can grow most of them in your own home.
Psilocybin mushrooms that used to be called magic mushrooms, but we don't like to call them that anymore. Cacti that contain mescaline, ayahuasca, and ibogaine, or drugs from the iboga plant.
Right now, those types of plants are illegal federally, but there have been places in Michigan recognizing them for their healing abilities.
It is the absolute lowest law enforcement priority to go after the psychedelics.
Eli Savitt is prosecutor in Washtenaw County. In September of 2020, Ann Arbor decriminalized psychedelics, and shortly after, Savitt announced he wouldn't prosecute any cases of possession or use of the plants in the county. Sale and large-scale growing would still be illegal.
But if you've got them, if you're using them for yourself, it's just not something that we see the need to channel our very scarce criminal justice resources towards.
And Decrim Nature is close, very close to the same being the case in Grand Rapids.
I assume that that's going to happen this fall.
First Ward Commissioner Kurt Repart is in full support of what Decrim Nature is trying to do, with one name-based caveat.
This isn't a decriminalization per se. It's deprioritization.
Same as in Washtenaw County, if the measure passes this fall, law enforcement in Grand Rapids would have to arrest a jaywalker before arresting someone in possession of psychedelics. Repart thinks it could really help his constituents who can't find or afford traditional mental health for PTSD, addiction, end-of-life suffering.
And the people who have deep depression, which Grand Rapids, as you know, has got a lot of people who have struggled with depression.
Back at City Hall, the board members tell me there's a lot of research on their side.
New York University, Yale, University of Chicago, where I go, is doing some research on some of these substances.
University of California at Berkeley, Imperial College London. The FDA even has designated psilocybin, for instance, as a breakthrough therapy for depression.
Now it's about clearing away that stigma that comes with what these three and their almost 200 group members know is a powerful alternative to traditional, expensive, and in the case of opioids, dangerous existing treatments.
We are a movement that is fighting for the regular person to be able to heal themselves.
These drugs are not addictive. You can't overdose on them. So it just seems reasonable to look into cures using these.
And we should note that as of right now, there's no current agenda item for this. That timeline that we gave you is just a best guess for how this will advance. If you want to see any of those studies referenced in the story, we do have links included with this article on our website.
Police have arrested a suspect in connection with a homicide investigation in Kalamazoo. Public Safety Department says the victim was found with a gunshot wound off West Kalamazoo Avenue near Elm Street. Investigators believe the shooting happened during a domestic situation. No names have been released. New court documents show two of the men accused in the alleged plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer also considered attacks on other state leaders. The court documents were filed in federal court yesterday. In them, prosecutors say Adam Fox, who is from Wyoming, and Barry Croft Jr. met with other militia members in Dublin, Ohio.